Dial M for Mother was the 4th episode, aired on February 9th, 1994, but it was broadcasted as the 3rd episode. We kind of talked about it already in the Miserable episode, so if you want to go check that out, I'll have a link to it in the corner, or you can just go to the playlist and notes right there. But this was written by Mike Reiss and Al Jean, of course, the creators of the show, and directed by Brett Holland, who, after working on The Critic, this was actually the first of his 4 episodes he directed. He also would later go on to work on Futurama, worked on The Simpsons on the first season, and he did episodes of Father of the Pride, and also the Penguins of Madagascar, and I think as of now he's an animator over at DreamWorks, but I don't know if that's his only job or if he's doing other work, but that's the work that he's mostly known for. But in the story of this episode, you have Jay. He finds out that test audiences brand him worse than Hitler, which is really friggin' hilarious when you think about it. But Duke basically sets up a TV special with Geraldo Rivera interviewing Jay and his adopted mother, Eleanor, played by Judith Ivey, which basically falls apart when Jay basically snaps at his mother because he never feels like that she really loved him. And it's funny because somebody in the YouTube comments for this particular episode made a funny but kind of true point that this episode's plot revolved around making Jay softer and less unlikable to appeal to most people, which is kind of what happened in the show when they moved it to Fox the next year. I mean, you can call it a coincidence all you want to, but I think that's kind of a true and valid point that they were trying to make here. But you know, for the most part of this episode, you still definitely get the laughs. I mean, it starts off with a really great parody of Pride of the Yankees.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest guy in the whole wide world.
Lou, me and the boys have been working on a cure. We call it Lou Gehrig's Oil.
Strength returning. Lou Gehrig's disease in remission. Hey, Lefty, toss me a fat one.
Depression over and Bill Cosby born.
And thanks to you, Bambino, I'll live to see his warm, unthreatening comedy.
This super happy ending where Lou Gehrig, he's not going to die anymore. It's just like, extra, depression over and Bill Cosby born. He's just like, and thanks to you, Bambino, I'll live to see his warm, unthreatening comedy. And man, that was a different time when Bill Cosby was considered for that compared to where he is now almost 30 years later. But I digress. Like I said, for most of the episode, you do get a lot of those laughs all the way through. They aren't as sporadic and as all over the place as they were in the first 3 episodes. There are still a lot of funny moments here and there. You know, specifically with stuff like, Jay's parents, not just Eleanor, but also Franklin, who's played by Garrett Graham. And man, I haven't talked to him about him enough in these the episodes I've done so far, but Garrett Graham, man, that guy was so into playing this role because you could tell whenever he was on screen as Franklin, he was going to take every single opportunity to chew up as much scenery as he can because he has some of the funniest moments in the entire show. No question about it. He is easily one of the best characters in the show, hands down.
Geraldo, this is my father, Franklin. I've prepared a list of softball questions you can lob at him.
Franklin, my name is Geraldo. Can you say Geraldo?
Geraldo.
Good. Do you mind if we talk?
The time for talk is past. Now is the time for action.
I hear you can say your name backwards. Is that true?
Nilknov.
What's your favorite food in the whole wide world?
Nilknov.
But like I said, there are still funny moments here, but I think that they're attempting of focusing more on building the relationship between Jay and Eleanor isn't as fully developed or as thought out as it could have been. In fact, in the last episode, Eleanor basically says that when Jay's trying to say, like, aren't you worried about Marty in any way, shape, or form? He's just like, well, I don't have any tear ducts, but you can be certain that I'm really sad about this, basically. But I think that was kind of what's building up to this particular episode. You can definitely buy into Jay's points about his mother, especially since we've got a couple of episodes to fully understand their relationship as son and mother. But at the same time, there really isn't enough there to fully get invested when the main crux of the story takes place in the second half. And really, it's not until we get to halfway through the episode where we get to the main focal point of the episode, because the first half is basically trying to change Jay's image around. Like, they have this whole thing where they take the set and just make it like a wooden cabin house. They actually get a real bear because they wouldn't let them use a stuffed bear, and the bear starts attacking Jay when he's on the show. Yeah. And it just doesn't go well, and then Duke's just kind of like, maybe we're going at this the wrong way, and then that's when it jumps into the main plot of the episode. But it does kind of drag on, and to me the first half of the episode I think is the strongest part of it. I mean, not to say that the second half is bad or anything. I think it does get what they're trying. I think they're trying to establish these two are as a relationship as son and mother, and I think it's done well enough, but I feel like it could have been done a whole lot better. But that being said, there are a couple moments in there where, again, you do buy into Jay's points, but you also kind of buy into how Eleanor sees Jay as her son. And, you know, really, while this is not necessarily a bad episode by any means, this is the first one of the Critic episodes that I've looked at here that I can honestly say wasn't an all-around winner. I actually liked the randomness of the first half of the episode, where a lot of the best moments are. In the second half, you know, it's more miss than hit. Not bad in any way, shape, or form. And I do like the little payoff they have at the end, where you basically see that, you know, she does care about Jay, whether or not it was something that she'd always had all along, or it just came to her in those last moments. Especially when you consider that as soon as Jay leaves the room, he gets hit by a bottle and he's in the hospital, and she was afraid she was going to die. You can make the argument that was something that she literally could not give a crap until that moment. But I don't know. Maybe that wasn't the point they were trying to get across here. But I mean, they do try to build a fresh appeal for Jay, and it just doesn't come together, I think, as well as they wanted it to. Overall, not a bad episode. Definitely one of the first ones that has a lot of flaws to it that kind of digs it back a bit, but there are things I do really appreciate about it. In fact, some of the things I forgot to mention, I do kind of like that this was back around the time that Geraldo Rivera was not afraid to make fun of himself, unlike what he is now. But, I mean, he was one of the biggest daytime talk show hosts at the time, and I love how they set up this idea that Geraldo's talk show is fine. It's this happy talk show where everybody goes on there and everyone has a good time. Clearly, you have not seen what the Geraldo Rivera show was like back in the late 80s, early 90s. I mean, it was before Jerry Springer. It was literally considered trash TV for moments like this.
Yo, gotta be kidding. Hey, hold it. Hold it. Sit down.
In fact, when NBC had the Golden Girls and Empty Nest and Nurses on there, they had a block night when they had Geraldo appearing on those shows, basically put promos like this.
Tonight, the toughest man on television digs for Empty Nest's dirty secrets.
He broke my nose!
Now, he's rushed to the Nurses, where he's just another patient.
I'm the king of daytime television. Hold that damn elevator.
You'll call it exciting.
I call it Geraldo Mania.
Geraldo Mania on Empty Nest and Nurses.
So yeah, it's always fun to see somebody like Geraldo Rivera make fun of himself for what he was back then. But other than that, though, not a bad episode overall. But I definitely think this is the first one that has some flaws to it that really kind of ding it in the end. But still not a bad episode overall. Just not one of the best episodes they've done.
Excuse me, sir. The show's over.
But I have nowhere to go.